Alright guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be counting down the top 5 longest, most challenging and soul draining grinds in MMO history. Sometimes these grinds are very long simply because you need to press buttons on a keyboard for countless of hours doing the same little task over and over again until your eyes bleed, but then sometimes they are such long grinds because of low RNG, like, small drop chances. And we will be talking about World of Warcraft in this video before you get your knickers in a twist and start spreading fake news that I've quit the game. And if it seems like I'm exaggerating there guys, I'm literally not. Like 1 week after I made one new world video, I met a guy in game who said, I thought you would quit. I mean, I think we all need to calm down just a little bit. Like, I just want to make videos that I personally find to be interesting topics. I've been making World of Warcraft videos now for 9 years, so please just give me a break. 90% of my videos are always going to be World of Warcraft videos, so anyway, let's jump into the first grind on this list. And that is the grind to become a Jedi in the original Star Wars galaxies, not Star Wars The Old Republic. Now this was a very, very different game set during the classic era of the films. And if you know Star Wars lore, then you know there's barely any Jedi around at this point, so just giving everyone the Jedi class wouldn't make much sense. So becoming a Jedi have to be a much more mysterious and drastically complicated process. Originally, it was actually going to take about 8 years for people to fully discover and become a Jedi, but then marketing kind of pushed the developers to make it much easier because they were under pressure to sell the game when classic WoW was actually being released, well, World of Warcraft Vanilla. So they made it a little bit easier with what's called the Holocron grind. So this is an insanely rare item that only dropped from very high level mobs that you probably have to kill with other people, so you'd have competition to actually get these holocrons in the first place, because there's absolutely no instant content in Star Wars Galaxies. It's all an open world sandbox game, and these holocrons would tell you what professions you had to master and in a particular order. Okay, what profession is in this game is basically very similar to what a class is in World of Warcraft. You actually have to level up a particular skill, and that would kind of be like your class. And the order of what you had to level up was totally different for every single person. So you couldn't just get one guy with a holocron and tell his friend what you had to do. It was unique to each and every single player. And these holocrons had such a low drop chance that it could just take months and months of constant grinding and, let's be honest, probably losing the item to other people. And then it would take months and months to actually level up these professions in a particular order for you to eventually unlock the Jedi. But the thing is, once it told you, to level a particular profession, it then told you you need to go and get another holocron, and then that holocron would tell you to level up another profession. So you would have to go out and find another holocron all over again. And one of the issues is it kind of forced people to max out professions that they didn't really want to mess around with. They just simply didn't want to play that kind of character. And that's probably what caused many people to actually quit this game for World of Warcraft. And when you actually did become a Jedi, they were extremely powerful. Okay, they bring a whole new meaning to the concept of a hero class. It was very, very true to the films. Imagine how powerful Jedi are in the films. That's basically how powerful you're going to be in the game. One of the cool things about being a Jedi is, the more you played as a Jedi and more people noticed you as a Jedi, your visibility would go up. And the higher it went up, then the game would actually send bounty hunter NPCs after you to try and kill you, until eventually it would send Darth Vader in an Imperial shuttle to come and one-shot you. And then also those bounty hunters could also be players if they chose to try and take you on. I was once really, really hungover at Scotty J's house, and he was telling me all these crazy stories of when he used to play Star Wars Galaxies and how he was protecting his brother, who had finally become a Jedi, from loads and loads of bounty hunters constantly trying to kill him. I do overall think how the Jedi worked in Star Wars Galaxies is pretty interesting, it's pretty cool, but very weirdly it did actually put a lot of people off from playing the game because everyone just wanted to be a Jedi. And then they had to go and level up professions that they really didn't want to, and they also didn't want to have to go through the grind. And then they also didn't want to put up with, 1 or 2 Jedi on their server being basically gods on the server. But anyway, back to World of Warcraft, because we're going to talk about the original insane title that was released in Wrath of the Lich King. Now, this required for you to have a number of different factions at Exalted. So first of all, Booty Bay, Gadgetan, Everlook, Ratchet, Ravendolt, Darkmoon Faire, Shendralar and the Bloodsail Buccaneers, but you only had to get them to Honoured. Now, some of them are fairly easy, you really just have to, grind mobs into oblivion. One of the hardest parts of doing this reputation grind though was the Shendralar rep, which was actually later removed in Cataclysm. So pre-Cataclysm, this title was even more difficult to farm. Now, to get Shendralar rep, you would have to constantly farm Librams, which dropped in Dire Maul, but then you'd also need these particular quest items, like the Blood of Heroes from the Plague Lands, the Frayed Abomination Stitching, Skin of Shadows, so it meant you had to farm a lot of Dire Maul, a lot of Skullomance, and a lot of Stratform. You have to also remember that people were only level 80 back then. You couldn't just run in there and spam Arcane Blast. You actually did have to have a fairly decent farming class, like a Protection Paladin or something. If you wanted to grind Ravendolt reputation to Exalted, you have to kill 4,200 mobs, and then if you wanted to get Booty Bay up to Honoured, you basically have to start committing a massacre at Booty Bay. This would only get you to Honoured, but weirdly you could actually get to Exalted by killing a mob in the Badlands over and over again, who only gave 1 reputation per mob, per kill, and he had a 7.5 minute respawn timer. So one guy actually did do this, and he had to kill it 20,999 times. And I think that is probably the longest grind in World of Warcraft history, unless someone else has any other ideas, because that must have taken a ridiculous amount of time. To make this achievement even worse, you had to do Darkmoon Faire card grinding, right, to get the Darkmoon Faire reputation to Exalted, which would require 100 epic card turn-ins or 1,500 blue turn-ins, which you could probably do if you have a lot of gold, but if you're going to grind it manually, it only has a random low drop chance from high level dungeons, and you have to grind those out into oblivion over and over again. Remember that people were only level 80 back in those days, so the grind must have just taken so much time. Obviously it's important to give rank 14 grind in vanilla World of Warcraft a honourable mention, but I feel like there's not much to talk about that. You literally just have to grind PvP and Battlegrounds for about 10 hours a day for about 3 months, and there's not much else to it other than that. For number 3, we're moving on to a lesser known MMO that was suggested by the community post that I put up on YouTube, and the game is called MapleStory. This is basically a 2-dimensional MMO platformer kind of game with an extremely ridiculously high level cap of level 300. Okay, you can gain XP through quests, but most of the time you just have to grind mobs over and over again. Okay, and there's actually a leaderboard that you can go to on their website, and it gives you an estimated time based on the amount of daily experience particular players are getting. And there's a really high level player, they're beyond 270, 280, but it's given them an estimated time of 1,929 days to get to max level. Okay, and I'm pretty sure that's real time days, not time play, because that'd be ridiculous. But then for some other people, it's 3,000 days based on the average amount of XP they're gaining per day. So 3,000 days in years is 8.2 years. So apparently in that game it takes 8.2 years to get to max level, which is just ridiculous. And that's pretty standard in this game. It just takes years for people to hit the level cap. It's just one of those games. And to make it worse, when you die in this game, you actually get an experience reduction debuff by 80% for 2 hours. And before they added that buff, that's actually a fairly recent thing, you actually just lost experience when you died. So for number 4, let's be honest, this video wouldn't be a very good video if I hadn't mentioned Runescape. So let's talk about Runescape. We're going to talk about max cape grind, which the more I read into it, the more it just sounds more and more ridiculous, and how I think that playing classic World of Warcraft is not even that grindy. It's actually a bit of a cakewalk classic WoW in comparison. So max cape grind will take 2,500 hours. or roughly 104 days if you're doing it fairly efficiently. 104 days of just, of actual playtime. So I don't know how long that's going to take in actual real time. And then if you're doing the Iron Man challenge, it's 5,000 hours or 208 days. Okay, so what you need to do, firstly, is you need to get all your skills leveled up to level 99, and there's 20 free skills. Okay, it can take you weeks just to get one skill up sometimes. And these are skills like cooking, fishing, and attack skill. And it roughly takes, if you're really like min-maxing, about 62 days of playtime to max out all of your skills. Okay, and on top of that, what you need to do is get 2,227,000 coins. So you need to farm all of that gold. In the total of 6 years that the original RuneScape has been, re-released, about 19,921 players have managed to get all of their skills maxed as of August this year. So I don't know how many have actually managed to get the max cape as well, but this is just a seriously, ridiculously long grind. I mean, I thought we had it bad in Classic WoW, leveling 1 to 60, but I guess we don't. And for number 5, I want to talk about also a lesser known MMO, Lineage II, but I want to talk about the classic version of the game, a few years after it's released. It was actually released a year before Classic WoW. It was very popular in Korea and also has some traction in the West. A few people also talked about this on the community post. It was more of a PvP focused MMO, more like how New World is turning out to be now. And the leveling itself was just beyond brutal. Okay, I've heard some absolute horror stories by reading some old forums, one level taking 30 plus hours of playtime, one mob giving you about 0.01% of your XP towards your level. These days in Lineage 2 it is easier to level up, but in the old school version, it makes Classic WoW leveling look extremely fast. Okay, it's very simply on a different level. I mean, most people would spend a good year trying to get to max level, maybe even like a year and a half. I think the fastest person took, to get to level 75, took 9 months when the game launched. And there simply just isn't enough quests to level you up before you think, that sounds like there's a lot to do in that game, there's loads of quests to do. It wasn't all about quests. What most people did was group into a 5-man, like you do for a dungeon in World of Warcraft, and go and kill the mobs in the open world over and over until, your eyes start bleeding. I don't know how people could just, sit through it. I just wouldn't be able to do it. I don't think many people these days, would ever be able to do such a hardcore grind like that, but that was just the style of many old school MMOs back in those days. And what's interesting about an MMO where it takes ages to level is how leveling is kind of less important in a way. This game was more about, faction control over lands and castles like it is in New World, and leveling was almost like a side goal, like you would just level to stay high enough level to compete with enemy players on your server in faction wars and everything like that, or you would, try and level higher than them to become more powerful than them. These days in MMOs it's like get to max level, then you start playing the game, but in old school MMOs you were playing the game basically playing the end game before you actually got to max level. But anyway guys, I'm going to end the video there. Leave any comments below of more topics that you want me to talk about when it comes to, other MMOs and everything like that. My name is MetaGoblin. To my next video, ciao.